to him and tell him.
Special.
The screen.
It'll break. That must be the problem.
I'm CU1 Adamson, and I'm real honored today to have two of the men that really been heroes throughout my entire life. My dad, Ron Adamson, and my uncle Dan Emery. And today, Uncle Dan Emery is going to tell you a little bit about what he did in World War II. He's in the Bataan Death March, survivor of that. And let's go ahead and turn it over to Uncle Dan.
Thank you. I don't feel like my being here is an imposition on me. I'm glad for this opportunity to talk. Of course, I'm married, my children are gone, and I don't get to do much talking at home. I want to lay a little background, and I think the way I can do that, Craig said I could have all the time I wanted. I will be able to tell if I'm boring you, and I will quit. If you don't hear my words, if you don't listen to me, I'll leave you and let you talk. What I'd like to tell you is that I'll start with a background. I'll tell you a poem first, you know, a little poem that says, well, I was down in the Baja. I was down in the Baja in the Sonora Desert, and I saw a pile of rocks out in that place, and I just stopped and went out and looked. And the wind had blown the sand away from some of the rocks, and down in that, under there, I could see a human hip bone. And I love to write poetry. So I wrote a little poem that says, he searched for wealth in this desert ground, his pick of cross now fallen down. And did he find his gold or just demise? His treasure where the vulture flies. Now you see, without the background, you wouldn't know what I was talking about. So I want to tell you from before the war started, what happened. My dad, the Caddo Indian, in the maritime law, the language I kind of spoke.
The unit career counselors meeting is now being held in the conference room.
What's my background music? Did you get that off or something?
I don't think we can turn it off completely.
Oh, that's fine then. I just wanted to know.
Line one.
We're going to have that pretty good. Well, I'll try to get over that in a minute. Anyway, my dad was born in Texas, in the Republic of Texas. And the Caddo Indian people, they lived on the Mississippi River down at the Gulf Coast. And we can't turn it on.
Cut the wire.
Huh?
I have them send it running.
Send it down there.
You have done goodly. Thanks. I'm glad you made it here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute here. I'll tell you another little poem while we wait, and maybe had nothing to do with this. Said, a gentle wind from you secret place blows back memories to my face of honey stored in an ancient tree that the gentle bees would share with me, and a quiet place for me to play in the soil still moist like potter's clay. I played their days all alone, and all creation was my own. But now I'm gray in my body, no, now I'm old and my body is gray. In blue despair, I want again that day. But then my spirit shakes itself free, and I thank him for the winds of memory. Sound like we're going to make it all right now. Anyway, the cavalry drove my grandmother and and she would trade it to the Caddo people for small shells for wampum beads when she was a little girl. The guy traded her to, had no daughters, and he wanted one. Well, she was driven horseback with the rest of the people up to Graham, Young County, Texas, where my dad was born. And then when Texas joined the Union cavalry drove the Caddo people, they drove them on up into Wichita mountain area where the Wichita Wildlife Preserve was. And then they give my granddad the right to homestead under the Native American Homestead Act. Some of the people in the United States didn't like prejudice as bad as the United States people were doing to the Indian people. See? Now, my granddad got killed when they opened the Cherokee Strip. But my granddad and my grandmother went ahead and homesteaded again. And then the money decided there was oil under that property. So they sent an Indian agent made out of a oil man up there and told her she had homesteaded in the wrong place, give her $5 to sign her name and get the people out of there. My dad is driven again, see? And anyhow, my dad was driven again away from that place in the family. See, he ended up in Idaho, short story. And you want to remember, my mother is Scotch. That's another story. But she was one of those. My dad, the French went into Louisiana in the 1500s or somewhere. They didn't bring any women with them. He intermarried with the Caddo women, and the Caddo people were no longer dark brown. My mother was Scotch, a Sac. You know a Sac? Anglo-Saxon Sac. She's Scotch. I got my color from her. So did my brother. My sisters are tan, not black. Anyway, get that out of the background. I want that part in there so you can remember if I get to talk that long. When I was born in the north end of the Nez Perce Reservation, and my mother didn't give enough milk. In them days they didn't have Gerber and all of these other places to, but there was a lady there, Minnie Half Moon, and she had a child. So I got to share, see? And everything was going pretty good. My mother would take me there about 3 times a day, and I was I couldn't stand cow's milk. There wasn't any cows anyway, and that Woodland was a horse ranch. Old man Wood was raising horses with the Army, and it's pretty hard to get milk from a mare. They don't like that. So anyway, and to get a guy hurt, and then the milk wouldn't keep, but there's no refrigeration. Sour milk and scours it out. Well, anyway, then Dad got another job, different place. You make $30 a month there if the weather wasn't too bad, see. And I didn't have any wet nursing home making. But there was a lady there named Mrs. Jackson. And she had a big, nice young daughter and lots of milk. So my mother made a deal with Mrs. Jackson, the black lady, and she'd take me there about 3 times a day. She said, my mother told me, of course I wasn't there to fight this out, she said that little girl didn't like me too, but she'd push at me, see. And I'd get a tough hold and hang on, see. Just right there. Kind of moral for war in that thing, don't, I knew right instinctively not to just kind of fight it out and then go back. I stayed right there until I got full. And then you reconnoiter and go back and fight your way back to the groceries, that kind of thing. And now, that's a man that's doing pretty well in the wealth of the world. Here I was, drinking chocolate milk before they had it in the grocery store. Well, I wanted to tell that little thing to tell you that I absolutely, because of my heritage, have no prejudice. And I have no prejudice against black, brown, yellow, Japanese, Chinese, don't matter. Just think how terrible it would be if we all looked like me. I'll tell you, if we all looked like me, and I was Adam, there wouldn't be any of you. And the beautiful colors of people that you get, the tans and yellows, and I think the Mongols have got some beautiful yellow. Can you imagine that pink, yellow skin, broad face and little tip to the eye? Beautiful people, men and women both, strong. It don't matter, that thing. The idea is trying to tell you I've got no prejudice against the Japanese. I was working on a slag pile. I had the mumps. Working on a slag pile building from the steel mills. We were building a little land out of that mill, out of the ocean. And a Japanese woman come up to me, an old woman, probably the age of my mother, 30, you know, maybe 35. And she said, don't you know in Japanese, my Japanese is not good. Don't you know that this disease, if you get cold and it gets worse, you won't have children? I said, yes, I know. Well, then she said, why do you do it? And I said, they won't let me quit the guard up there in the guardhouse. She said, give me your shovel. I give her my shovel. She set down our wheelbarrow. She went up there. When she come back, the guard was out of that. And they put me in there, and I didn't have to work for 4 days. She gave me back my family. You see that? Hey, people ain't bad. People are no worse than us. Here I was. When I first joined the Army, I joined the Army because they had big round loaves of bread in the back of a truck, no wrappers on, nothing. So I lied about my age, trying to get in the Army. I finally made it. Got in the 116th Horse Cavalry in Lewiston, Idaho. And I thought I was going to get to be a cowboy. I already was. I've been riding horses for the Indian. You break it. You know, just getting on a horse out of a rodeo shoot, that's a dumb deal. The Indians had it down right. You take the horse, put a choke rope on it, get a fat kid, put him on the horse out in the water. See, take him out in the water where his front leg, down that deep. He can't get his head down to buck. If he does throw the kid off, wash down the river, chokes the horse ain't done. Pretty soon he won't throw the kid off anymore. So you don't want to get choked. Everything going all right. I knew about that. Well, no, I got in there, they put me in there. I was shoveling horse manure. Then I read that thing in the newspaper. I wasn't too good in school, you know. Anyway, I didn't read that very good, but I seen that the German cavalry, no, the German tank panzer divisions had gone into the Polish cavalry, the finest cavalry in the world, and in about 4 hours had them killed, demoralized. I don't want an outfit like that. People shooting at my horse with a tank. Didn't think about me. And then they put us into the 148th Field Artillery.